There are 3 ways to survive the apocalypse. I've forgotten some of them. But one thing is for certain. If you are reading this, you will survive. 3 ways to survive the apocalypse. The end. My old smartphone seemed to struggle to push up the page as I swiped at the web novel app. I scrolled up and down again and again trying to refresh. Really? That's it? But no matter how many times I checked, the words at the bottom didn't change. The end. The novel had ended. 3 ways to survive the apocalypse. Author. TLS 123. Number of chapters. 3, 149. 3 ways to survive the apocalypse, TWSA for short, was a fantasy epic spanning a whopping 3,149 chapters that I'd been reading it since I was in 9th grade. When the bullies at school chose me to be their punching bag, when I blew my entrance exams and ended up at a third-rate college, when I drew the short stick for my military service and got stationed near the border. Even now, as I barely hold on to my contract position after going from job to job, damn it, this is depressing. Anyway, author's note. Thank you for reading TWSA. I'll be back with the epilogue. Oh, there's still the epilogue. Then I guess the next chapter will be the real ending. It had been one hell of a journey. I'd started it over a decade ago as a child, and here I was, finishing it as a working adult. I felt a mixture of hollowness at seeing the end of a world and satisfaction at getting to witness that world's completion. I began to type out my comment for the last chapter, trying to find the right words. Dr. Kim, thank you so much for everything. I'm looking forward to the epilogue. I truly meant it. TWSA was the novel of my life. It may not be very popular, but TWSA is my all-time favorite. There were many things I wanted to say, but I couldn't bring myself to write them out. Average views, 1.9. Average comments, 1.08. That was the popularity index for TWSA. It had gotten off to a decent start, with the first chapter getting 1,200 views. But it dropped to just 120 as it passed the chapter 10 mark. By the time chapter 50 came out, only 12 people were still reading it. Since chapter 100, that number had mostly been stuck at 1. Number of views. 1. There were a few 2s mixed in every now and then, but those were most likely misclicks. As I looked through the long line of 1s on the chapter list, a feeling welled up in my chest that I was grateful. Despite only having 1 reader, the story had continued for over 3,000 chapters, for over 10 years. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say this was a story just for me. Recommending an awesome novel. I clicked on the recommendations board and began typing. The author had serialized the entire novel for free. The least I could do was drop a rec. As soon as I clicked submit, people began to comment, I think this guy's a troll. Checked his post history, and he keeps recommending the same novel. You're the author, aren't you? You're not supposed to recommend your own work here, you know? That's just sad that I'd forgotten that I'd posted the same recommendation a few months ago. In no time, there were dozens of comments calling me a troll or loser. I scrambled to delete my post but got a message saying that it couldn't be deleted because someone had already reported it. Oh no, I felt terrible that my attempt to help the author might end up making them look bad. That if people would just give it a chance, they'd be in for a real treat. Why was no one reading this gem? I wished I could donate some money to the writer, but as someone who lived paycheck to paycheck, I couldn't afford it. It was at that moment that I got a notification. DM received. TLS 123, thank you. The message had come out of nowhere. It took me a second to process what was happening. Dr. Kim, aren't you the author? TLS 123. It was the author of TWSA. TLS 123. I was able to finish the story thanks to your support. I even won a prize in a contest. I couldn't believe it. Won a prize? TWSA? Dr. Kim, congrats. What kind of contest was it? TLS 123. It's an obscure one. I doubt you've heard of it. I thought they might have been lying to save face. But I hoped it was true. Who knows? The novel had been a flop on this platform, but it could very well be a hit on another. Sure, I'd feel a bit sad about it, but a good story like this needed to get out there. TLS 123. I'd like to send you a special present as a token of my gratitude. Dr. Kim. A present? TLS 123. Yes. After all, you're the reason this story could come out into the world. The writer asked for my email, so I gave them the one I used the most. TLS 123. By the way, the novel will be paid content soon. Dr. Kim. Wow, really? From when? To be honest, I should have been paying for this masterpiece from the beginning. A new chapter of TWSA had been uploaded almost daily, so I would have spent about 3,001 a month. Enough for a packaged lunch from a convenience store. TLS 123. It'll become paid content after today. Dr. Kim. Does that include the epilogue that's coming out tomorrow? TLS 123. I'm sorry, but yes. Dr. Kim. Of course you should charge for it. I'll be sure to buy the chapter. There was no further reply from the author. They seem to have logged out. I felt a pang of disappointment. So now that they're successful, they won't even bother replying to me, huh? My excitement turned into petty jealousy. Why was I so happy for the novel? It wasn't like I'd written it. They probably sent me a gift certificate. I hope it's one that's worth 50,001. How naive I was, poring over something so trivial, completely clueless about what would happen to the world the following day.